So what do you do when you feel like you have failed homeschooling this year? Hey, my name's Tiffany. This is Hint Life Homeschool. My channel is all about mindset, homeschooling, and organization. I'm all about making your life easier. I've had a break, and for good reason. And I'm going to chat about that today. And I'm also going to chat about coming back from a challenging time and dealing with setbacks in your homeschool, and how to recover from that, how to get your mindset back in the game, how to feel motivated and excited for another beautiful year of homeschooling, and just kind of filling you in on what's been going on and what I have planned, because I am so excited to finally be back in this space again. I've really missed it, and I really am grateful to have you here with me today. This year was a huge year, as I've said. We've had a couple of things that came up that were just kind of left of field, unexpected, and one of them was with my husband and a health event that happened, and it was incredibly scary, and it was during an already very busy year where we were renovating and having some really big things going on. That's usually the way, right? I think that looking back now, it has taken me a long time to overcome the stresses of things that it could have been far worse. An opportunity came up as well to adopt a beautiful therapy dog for our family. I think that that, along with everything else, just really created a hectic year, a very full year. And my husband is okay. Everything is okay. But it just really rocked us. And I think that a lot of us go through things like this and we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the stress and the pressure that it puts on homeschooling, and how hard that can be to feel like you are the person in charge of everything. And when you're not able to focus, which stress does that to us, things can fall apart. And how grateful that I am that I had a couple of habits that just allow things to have a sense of normal. I want to share some of the strategies that I have set up in my homeschool that have allowed me to still feel like I'm pushing forward, like I'm moving forward without it being forced. And it's nice to have some habits that kind of stick with you through hard times, so that you feel like not everything falls to pieces just because things are hard. And the reality with homeschooling and home educating, it can feel like that. It can happen so easily with life events. We don't know when they're coming. They often come at the worst possible time, and we're not prepared for it. And we can't prepare for these things. It's not like, oh, I'm having a sick day. And, you know, we're talking months here of periods of time where it can be really, really challenging just to get through the day. This is the beginning of a series of videos that I think really need to be out there. So welcome to the very first video of the Chaos to Calm homeschooling series. We realize the year is almost over. It's kind of like that panic mode. I think all of us kind of feel it. It's that last couple of weeks where we just go, oh, I might just throw this extra thing in to catch up and feel like I accomplished something. Or, you know, you go for that curriculum that you forgot about, and all of a sudden it's so important to do. Does anyone else do this? I think it's just one of those things that it just, it's that conditioning, it's that homeschool, it's that school conditioning where I feel like we just are programmed to feel like we have, if it's not on paper, it didn't exist. This has been the most unschooly approach to homeschooling that we've ever taken. And as much as I loved it, I really did miss the formal work. We love that aspect of homeschooling too. We are very eclectic, but I am so grateful for the experiences that we had, and there were so many, and the life lessons that we've had, and it was chock full of milestones this year. So I don't feel at all worried about the fact that we didn't do enough because we didn't stop. But the reality is that there's that niggling feeling that we just didn't do enough formal work, and that bothers me. And it's just being honest, like that's just how I feel, and I am okay with that. I'm sitting with that and I'm acknowledging that feeling. And I think that we can have those feelings and know that, well, that's not true, that is not the case, and we can sit with that for a bit and just kind of find ways to work through that. And that's what I'm trying to explain today in this video, is that it's okay to actually have these feelings. I feel like it's programmed in us, and over time those things become less important to us, and we can really sit well with the things that we do get done. The thing that I really love to do is actually sit down with a pen and paper and actually write out why I feel that way. You know, we didn't do enough book work, we didn't do enough math, or we didn't do enough, you know, of these things that I really, really wanted to do. And just kind of really acknowledge that and reflect, okay, so we've listed all the things that are negative, all the things that, you know, didn't happen. Now think about the things that did happen, because we're really good at overlooking that. We're really good, I think, I'm really good at, you know, focusing on the negative stuff sometimes, especially at this time of year. So when we're in our panic mode and, you know, we're feeling frantic, that is the first thing that we think of, is the things that we're missing, or we should have had, or we wish we did. And the cool thing is with homeschooling is you never really are behind in anything. You don't have a set amount of stuff that you have to work through necessarily. I know that changes from state to state, and different areas in the world and everything have different rules, but generally we have the freedom to ascertain how much work we're going to accomplish, what that kind of work is, and the framework of that. We are in charge of that. That's why we homeschool. So what I'm trying to say is that I know, I'm incredibly sure that if you're sitting here and watching this video, you've tried, you have given your all this year to give your kids a safe environment, a place where they feel accepted, a place where they can move freely. I'm sure that you have tried a couple of different curriculums, that you've gone and you've investigated different approaches to learn that thing that kid is struggling with, you know, that they just want to get better at but might not be able to just yet. And I think that the life lessons are often overlooked, and the real life moments, like making new friends, that can often be really hard for our kids, and trying new sports at an older age, like my son this year. It's hard to watch your kid struggle, but it's also really inspiring to see your kids struggle and keep going back. That is just a whole nother thing. So, you know, a lot of good has happened this year, and I hope you're starting to think of a lot of the good that has happened this year and writing that down on the page as well. And then you can kind of look at that and go, okay, now if I was chatting, if my friend was talking to me and was listing all these things out, what would I say to her? What would I write in response to, I didn't do enough book work? What would you say? And reply to everything that you've written down, especially the negative stuff. And reply what you would say to your friend about that and what advice you might give. And I think that you'll find, and this is, for me, this is something that I do often, or not often, but, you know, when I'm struggling with things, what would I say to a friend? And I'd be a hell of a lot more empathetic, and I would be like, no, you've done so much. You know, you can have these conversations with yourself, do them in your head if you feel a little crazy. But what I'm trying to say is that we are not our best advocates. We are not our the nicest to ourselves. And we have very huge expectations because we feel the weight of the world. Like, you know, we want to do the best for our kids. And I think that, you know, that expectation is just so high that we put on ourselves because we feel like the risk is so much if we fail them. But one day at a time, one step at a time, we are not failing our kids. There is just so much. And and that is a very big if, your kids are behind because you dropped the ball on something, that is figure outable. You can create a plan. You can work on that daily with them. You can come back from that, is what I'm saying, but not in a year where you've felt everything has changed. Not in a year where you've had a really hard time. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about when we are at our toughest, when the year is throwing everything at us and we're feeling like we are just treading water. Just continue treading water. You don't have to be worrying about those things right now. And finish the year off lighter and looking forward to the future, because everything is figure outable and you're going to address those things, and make a time to do it. Book it in, put it in your planner, create a plan. If you use Freely Homeschool Planner, you can create a project and actually write out exactly, you know, what step by step, what you want to achieve, like what you want to do, what are the lessons that you're missing, and make a plan for that. And that'll be the first thing you do on day one of homeschooling next year. These things can be so much easier to fix than what we think they can be. What are some things that you need next year? I'll start. I need more predictability in my year. After having a very, very unpredictable year, I feel like I just need a little bit of stability. And I know that may not actually be the case. Something else might blow up. I'm sure something will blow up, but that is what I need. And I'm okay with acknowledging that's what I need this year and hoping that that's what I get. I need next year is more long-term goals. I realized that I created a lot of shorter-term goals last year purely because I felt that those were the things that needed addressing straight away. And this year, I feel like we can shoot for some long-term goals. We're in a really good place, and I feel very fortunate to have watched some huge changes in my kids this year, and I feel confident in some of the areas that they want to sit in for a little bit longer. So I'm feeling comfortable to make some long-term goals. I need next year is to pre-book, pre-plan, pre-book, prepay some excursions, some trips that work in with our subjects and things that we're studying in our homeschool. Usually I do these things in more of a spontaneous setting, which is what I did this year. And now, like I said, I just want more stability. So that is just something that I'm thinking that I can actually do to create that stability and something to look forward to. So actually have that thing to look forward to that's, you know, far off in advance, and not have to worry about how we're going to pay for it, and not have to worry about, you know, all of those aspects of it. I just want it to be allocated, done, planned. That's what's happening at that time. I think that, you know, it's really beautiful to put some of your needs into your planning of your homeschool. In the comments below, I would really actually love you to write right now, what are some of the things that you need? It could be anything. Just start typing now. Like, just get it out. What are some of the things that you need in your year next year? It could be something like stability, like me, or it could be more spontaneity. It could be more like having fun. It could be incorporating more travel, or, you know, don't just forget about the details and just type in what it is that you need. I want to chat now about some of the things that we did really well, because there were a couple of things that I did really well that I was super grateful for this year. And that was capturing things in the moment. So learning in the moment, excursions, holidays, turning them into moments that the kids actually learned so much that could have just been completely overlooked and gone, oh, that's great, they got so much from that trip. But I turned them into records in Freely, my homeschool planner. And that's why I created it, because it's something that allows me to really make it count in my mind and in my record keeping. So you don't carry your planner around, your physical planner, your paper planner, if you have one. You don't carry that around with you on holidays and start jotting things down. You can have your phone and you take lots of photos. That's what you do. And that's why I wanted something like Freely, because I wanted something where I could take some photos, and when I get a moment, pop them into Freely. Or you can actually open up Freely and take the photo, and it doesn't store on your phone as well. So you can do either. But the great thing is that then I go back when we have a moment, I'm just having a coffee, a quiet moment, the kids are playing. I'll actually write out all the things that just happened. We went on a snorkeling trip this year. It was life-changing. It was the most beautiful thing. Like I said, we had some really good things happen this year as well as bad things. And that was one of the good things that just blew me away. And the kids were just so engaged with everything that they experienced. And I was so into it as well. We were also overexcited and just caught up in the beauty of the Great Barrier Reef and experiencing the corals and snorkeling for the very first time, which was absolutely terrifying, by the way. No one actually tells you that you feel like you're suffocating when you're snorkeling. I just had to put that out there because that was terrifying. But once we got over that, and I had a panic attack and the kids were like, you're okay, calming me down. But once we got over that, I wrote that because the kids helped me. And how did they help me? By the ways that I helped them. And that's a moment I want to capture, right? This is the goal. These are the things that I want to look back on and go, far out, we really did accomplish a lot. They just showed me that they know how to help themselves and help others. That's beautiful. But the reality is that that's what I did really well this year. I had the habit. The habit was formed, and the habit was formed because I created a routine, and it was just part of my everyday, where I just always looked for something that might be part of the learning for the day and capturing that and making it count. So I want you to think about some of the things that you did really well this year, because I know there would be some. And I know you can list out a few things at the very least of what you did well this year, because my gosh, when you start focusing on these things, they just start jumping out more and more. I've just started going on a tangent about the reefs and, all of that stuff. That wasn't planned. I get off track, but these are the things that we want to talk about. These are the things we want to remember. And often we forget about them because we're too focused on what we didn't do. I didn't do enough book work. Well, I don't care anymore because I just was sharing with you about the reef experience that we had. That was more than anything the most amazing experience I've had in my life, and my kids have experienced that too now. So we can move on from these things, these negative feelings, and turn them around and really wipe them out of the water, so to speak, by focusing on some of the things that we did really well. And if we did those really well, we know we can do them really well next year. So let's focus on maybe, twisting some of these things that are negative and going, well, how can we stop that? How can we address that? Is that something that we can address, or do we just do the best we could with what we had this year, which is probably for the majority of us, that is the case. We couldn't have changed those things. And that's how I feel as well. So when you go through your list, be gentle with yourself and really do that process, because it really helps so much to change your mindset, and that is incredibly needed, and you deserve that validation, and only you can do that, because in homeschooling you know, you don't have someone like watching over you like a principal and kind of going, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that, but you did this really well. Like, we don't have these meetings where we can get that true validation from people. People can say, oh, that's okay, don't worry, they've got next year. But the reality is you need to do a process like what I've just mentioned if you really want to work through what you're holding on to. Let it go and actually look forward to the future. I think when we're talking about success in our homeschool and we're using things like, I failed this year was awful, and we're getting caught up in the negative things, we really probably don't have a good idea of what success looks like in our homeschool. And that always comes back to me as lacking goals, lacking direction, and hoping that, you know, choosing a few curriculums to work on this year, that's the goal. I want to finish those things. And that doesn't usually happen. We don't usually, I in my experience, I very rarely get through an entire curriculum from start to finish. That's just not how I homeschool. So if that's how you homeschool, that's great. And if you've usually done that and not, I commend you. That's amazing. But my kids change their interests at a whim sometimes, and I need to keep moving, and I need to move with that interest for them to actually even engage in what we're doing. So often I don't start a curriculum from the very beginning and finish it right to the end, with the exception of science. Science is something that's just our thing. So when it comes to language arts, I will jump around from even different grades just to mix things up and keep things interesting. So I am very eclectic in that way. And that's probably why I think it's really important to, if you homeschool in the way that I do or similar, to have some goals. So some focuses. And I'm not just talking about educational goals, which are important. I'm talking also about life skills. Life skills are so important, especially if you have children that have additional needs. They need a lot more time to learn these things that comes easily to a lot of us, and to be okay with that, and to work on mindset is just something I'm obsessed with, because it just gets better and better when you do it, when you work on mindset for your kids and for yourself. First and foremost for yourself, because you can't teach kids what you're not doing. I am a huge advocate for goals, because we need a goalpost. Everybody needs to know where they're going, and having a few chosen curriculums that you mishmash together is not a goal. That is just a method. We need a goal to work towards, and the only way we can make good goals is by having a really good vision. How do we get vision? By having clarity. And I'm going to step you through how I do that. And it is just a process that I have fine-tuned over the last 5 years. And it is just, I'm in a good place with that. It is just something that I love so much. And I cannot wait to share with you the printables that I've created, the packs that I've created, the processes and the videos that I'm creating. I'm for it, guys. Like, this is going to change how you homeschool for the better. And following this process is quite simply life-changing, because homeschooling is a lifestyle. I don't care what anyone says. That's the truth. It is a lifestyle, because you can do it at any time of the day. You can work it in any different variations, whether you unschool, whether you're eclectic, whether you're traditional around a table. It doesn't matter. These things still work no matter how you homeschool. And creating a vision is incredibly important. And I'll be sharing more about that in the next video. So make sure you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, and hit the bell, and you're interested in this stuff and talking about this and working through this process with me, make sure you have done that so you don't miss these videos to come. Oh, and if you liked this video, can you please give it a thumbs up? It tells me to make more videos like this. It tells me that I'm on the right track and that I'm actually helping you and giving you ideas and all of that kind of stuff. Share also in the comments below if you have any questions or if you want me to cover anything in particular through this Chaos to Calm series. Anything to do with the organization, planning, creating clarity in your homeschool with your vision. That is the next video, and it is going to be the biggest mindset change for you as well. You're doing an amazing job, and I will see you in the next video. I can't wait.